ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 349th episode of the GeekVerse podcast. Man, 350 is just it's a breath away. I am the what the fuck are you doing, Packers, Travis Snail.
Adam Hartcaster, Dylan Musk.
Friendly neighborhood caster, Kirkland Patzer.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing a nice newscast, but as always, head down the description below. You got your video and audio feeds there. We're doing tons of stuff. I am excited, but not excited to talk about our next Patreon pick because on Patreon right now, go to any tier, the $1 tier, the $2. Well, we don't have a $2 tier. I don't know where that came from. The $5 tier,
the
$20
Feige
tier,
Fighters,
the Feige Fighters back to formula. Best tier, yeah. Any tier you want, you can recommend a movie. And Carl, I'm gonna have some few words with you when we get to Dragon Ball Evolution review, because it was a ride to say the least. But we have done tons of stuff. We've done Darkman, we've done Snowpiercer, we've done Steel, we've done Dragon Ball Broly last week. So we've done a bunch of stuff. So if you're on Patreon already, there's a few there that I think there's still under just under half that haven't given me a film. Give me one of those and then jump on right now. And I support or thank you to everyone that's been supporting the team because you've been either spreading the love or up in the tiers. So we thank you for that. So what else? I reviewed My Spy and Extraction the other day. Those were movies that I saw. But you I think you could honestly listen to my both like 15-minute reviews and I can encapsulate the movie better than you don't need to see it. There's just some man, people gotta start making better movies. And
was I Spy on? Is that a Netflix movie as well?
It's on Amazon Prime. It's that Batista one. So it was supposed to come out last year, and then it got delayed till February, and then it got delayed till March, and then they just said, we're just gonna release it on Amazon Prime. Because
was it intended to always be streaming, or was it supposed to be in theaters?
No, always theaters, or at least like when they did that. Yeah, it was planned to be theaters. Yeah. So they're movies, and then next week if everything goes right, we got some stuff in the works. We might be able to make some sort of announcement of some things on the horizon for GeekVerse. So stay tuned. There's some good stuff popping off. One thing I want to show just for the video people. So we're doing Zoom for the first time week, as we said before, because of COVID. We're trying all this new stuff out and everything because we're remote casting. It's new for us, but so we're doing Zoom this week. I just want to show you guys something you're watching.
Oh man!
You got Michael Fassbender up there, and watch this scary image that I'm about to do right now. Look at this.
Wow.
And then this is what I want to show to you because I could just put in the group chat, but this is a lot more fun. Hang on, let me.
So is this like because of the GeekVerse like banner that it is activating the green screen and then it just is glitching to your whole screen?
So look at this photo that I'm showing you right now. This is a photo that leaked. This is a photo that came out today. It's Doctor Strange wearing the Iron Man suit. This was a scene that they cut from Infinity War, but this came out today. But pretty cool stuff, eh? Like, look at this. I can have visual aids with.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks terrible, but like, cool.
Yeah. So there you go. And then what was going to happen? The time stone was going to go in his chest piece. Where is it right there? His chest piece. And it's going to be the Eye of Agamotto as the arc reactor. So pretty cool.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's Zoom. I'll get rid of I'll put Michael there for a little bit. It's just his ear. I haven't figured out that. So yeah, we're trying a bunch of stuff, but we're trying to bring you a podcast. So there you go. Check out the video versions, all that. So you guys got anything to say or plug before we get into some news topics?
I was just going to say a big thank you to the patrons as well. Like multiple of you, like, after we reviewed your movie, just upped your Patreon donation to the $5 tier. So I may like whenever that gets posted in the chat or we see that, it just makes us all really happy. So we appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for all the support lately.
Yeah, I'll extend that. Thanks for sure. I also watched Tag for the first time. Have you guys seen that movie?
Oh, dang. What'd you think?
Yeah, man, I love Jeremy Renner's character in it. I wasn't too sure of the film, like, until he got introduced, and then I feel like it just shifted for me. I don't know, I found it a lot funnier with him. And I love when he would just like break down like what he's gonna do, kind of like Sherlock Holmes. I don't know if you remember those scenes.
Yeah.
But no, I had lots of fun with that. I also didn't know it was like based on a real story, and I thought it was pretty cool. They show like the real life people in the end, like doing their tag game. So it's a pretty cool movie.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Yeah, I think we see that in theaters together, Dylan?
I think so. We definitely didn't do a review for it, but
no.
I've seen it. I think I watched it again on Netflix at some point. It's just like it's like game night. It's just dumb fun. Like simple fun movie.
I was gonna ask because I thought Jesse Plemons was in it, but I think he's in Game Night, right? Because you guys were talking. Yeah, okay, that was the one. So I was expecting him to pop up in this, but he didn't. So then
he could be in that movie. It's very similar.
They should put that character just in every movie. That'd be good.
Yeah.
It's
I remember,
just-
yeah, I do remember we saw it with Briggs, and Briggs specifically said don't invite Kirkland. I thought it was really weird at the time, but you know,
Classic Briggs.
What's
it's
the
just
story behind that? I don't remember that.
we'll have to get him on.
Yeah, I
No,
don't
I'm
know.
joking. He didn't say shit. So what we're gonna talk about today, we're talking about some more MCU delays, possibly Blade and Deadpool kicking around. Maybe we got a Venom 2 title, which I can't wait to talk about. We got Horizon Zero Dawn possibly being a trilogy. We got Crash Bandicoot maybe coming back like as a new game in the new gen. So we're gonna start off with our kind of bread and butter with the MCU. And let me just pull up the actual dates here because Doctor Strange, Dylan, you get like double points because we did that prediction cast. You said it would be delayed. It got delayed again, so that's 2 delays.
Oh my God.
So let me just pull it up here. But yeah, they did another big shift. I have it. I had it. Live TV, folks. It's always a good time. Okay, here we go. So here's the new date. So they have Black Widow, and these are the kind of some of the same ones as well, but I'll just go over them all. Black Widow still November 2020. Eternals February, saying she is May 7th. And now here's one that also got moved. Spider-Man 3 got to move to November. First live action Spider-Man, not in the summer. So that's, and I think I don't know, November is a weird date for a Spider-Man movie. Thor stayed in February 2020, but then Strange moved, I think, like a few weeks or something to March 2022. But then Black Panther is 2022, and then Captain Marvel is July, and sorry, Black Panther is May. So the big thing is 147 days in 2022. You have Thor, Strange 2, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, February, March, May, July. I just want to ask you guys, and we'll talk about that October date, the mystery date in a second. Do you think that's maybe a bit too much? Because we also don't know the date of these Disney Plus shows because obviously things are rapidly changing, right? But if things stay the course, is that even just for the movies a bit too much to be putting out there for the MCU?
You can go first, Kirkland.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting decision, right? Because I mean, personally, I'm all for it. I just want all my MCU out at once so I can just watch it. It might change now that Shay doesn't work at the theater, so I don't get free movies like I did. So maybe I will want them spread out a little bit, but it is an interesting decision. Like, do you think they're just trying to get it all out there, like in celebration that COVID will probably be over around that time? Like I don't know. I don't know their like business reasonings for this, whether it's just we've been having to push all these movies back, so let's just put them all out in 2022 so that we can move on to like the next phase stuff, because obviously they are on a timeline, right? Like they do have to get these movies out sooner or later.
Well, that's a good thought, because maybe it is something of like trying to recoup some lost revenue from this year, where it's like, okay, if we get all this stuff together because they can, like if they're confident that they can produce those 4 movies and not cutting any corners, which I don't think they would for the MCU. Like I don't think they'd put out some half-assed movie, right? Like they're probably going to wait until it's fully planned out, because obviously all these movies are connected. So yeah, I wonder if that is part of it, is that it's like, okay, well, we're going to lose some money here. Let's try to make it up as much as possible in this like coming year. And maybe that's what they're thinking. At this rate, you have to wonder if like Black Widow gets shifted again, right? And then it just like jostles this whole thing up again. But
Yeah.
And I think that's the other, like not the other, but all they've had this success of the connected universe, everything like that. I think this is the one time where you see the downside of it because of one thing. And obviously tons of movies are moving, right? But it's one of those things where they've specifically, that we kind of talked about Spider-Man 3. We thought it's going to move at some point because all these other movies had moved, but Spider-Man 3 hadn't. And it's kind of weird that, okay, they usually pick an order for a reason, right? There's usually some sort of plan laid out, like, okay, this goes first. And we've talked about them being tied with the Disney Plus shows. So it's the same thing. If Strange gets delayed, I imagine WandaVision, which was supposed to be out this year, is probably not going to be out this year because it's going to be, and they're going to want it closer to Strange too. So again, like most stuff in life just sucks, but that just sucks too, again, because I just wish we had, because there was this report that came out that Falcon Winter Soldier were 2 weeks away from being done filming. I wish we had one, because I just want to, we've seen Mandalorian. I want to see like what a MCU show looks like, with a TV show, 6 episodes, is it very much like Mandalorian where it's a lot of filler? Is it not so much? I don't think it will be, but I just want that first little taste. So we might not even get that this year, to be honest, which, is a bummer, but there's still people like New Moon's waiting. And then the other thing, so we don't know about the movie, but the other thing that's slated is it's in October 2022, and it could be anything, but the kind of two, I guess, theories, but there's some rumors as far as they've talked about Deadpool, they've talked about Blade. I think Blade more is a theory because it's like October, Mahershala's cast, but then Deadpool, they've said, oh, we have plans and blah, blah, blah. What would you think? Like, who, if you had to put your money down on who we see first in that October. And maybe it's someone else, but if you thought, okay, it's either going to be Blade or Deadpool, you got a gun to your head. Who do you think's coming first in the MCU? Dylan, I'll start with you.
I'm gonna go with Deadpool just because you already have a lot of the groundwork out of the way. Yes, they have like Blade cast, which is a huge part of it, but even then, they got to try to find out, okay, what's the tone that we want for this, like, and because of and after you figure out that, it's like, okay, who are the writers that can fill in that slot? What is a good director that's a fit? Whereas for Deadpool, since it comes to Ryan Reynolds and he's kind of a writer slash producer on the previous ones, like you already have a lot of creativity. And I mean, it's also a sequel in a sense, or who knows how sequelized it will be, but I'm sure like there's already so much of those kinks worked out. So I just think timing wise, like how long it's going to take after all this is over, they're already going to be dealing with these movies that are already getting pushed back before these other ones that didn't have like a set in stone date. I just feel like Deadpool is set up to, and I feel like that could be a really good one for them as well. Like if they're panicking a bit, like, oh shit, everything's getting moved around. Okay, maybe we can do this Deadpool thing. And yes, they're gonna have to Disneyfy it, but it's still, there's still like so many steps they get to skip. Whereas Blade, they're starting from scratch essentially.
Yeah, and I don't know if I believe him, but some people this week have been putting forward that the rumor is that he would be in the MCU, but still rated R. I just still don't personally believe
I don't
that.
see it, man.
No, I don't either. But you never know. But I just don't see it. Kirkland, are you kind of the same camp as far as the rated R goes? And then also, who are you picking that October slot? If it's one of those two, because most of the evidence is pointing it's either Blade or it's either Ryan Reynolds getting one last. Hopefully not a last show, but one more showing as Deadpool.
Yeah, just for like the R-rated thing, it is tough for me to just picture like a rated R Deadpool in those MCU movies that we've already got and what are coming out. So I don't know. I really don't like know strongly for or against it, like what they're gonna do with that, because they will want to have them talking about stuff that's happened in the MCU, right? And like that stuff, just have classic Deadpool breaking the fourth wall. But I mean, there's a lot of kids out there that want to see all the MCU movies, and then they'd feel pretty ripped if and I feel like just like the Disney executive mindset is they just want to have these movies like accessible to everyone, sort of, at least, right? So yeah, I really don't know. If I had a gun in my head, I'd probably say he's not going to be R-rated in the MCU, but again, I don't really know. And then for who's going to come first, I definitely see like Dylan's points that he brought up, how Deadpool, like, he's already fairly established, although it was with Fox. I feel like they'd be able to transition that over pretty easily, especially like you got Ryan Reynolds, who's just solidified as that awesome casting for him. And he's going to have some good ideas of what to do with that character as well. Like, have they talked about like bringing like writers or like the same writers over?
It's all kind of hearsay. Reynolds has said he's met with Feige. There's pictures of him at Marvel Studios, and there's like the writers of Deadpool 2 saying they've had discussions, but at the same time, there's not like we've signed a deal or we're for sure right. Okay. I think they would bring him in, like Ryan Reynolds, I think is the franchise tag, right? No matter what, I think he makes up, but I think they bring everybody back that maybe directed or wrote and say, can we work with these people? And maybe if they are clashing, then it's like, oh, let's get our own writers, let's get our own team. But I think the idea might be to try to work with them first and then go, because the old writers have said that that's why some people are speculating too, because the writers have said they've been in some of these meetings and they've been told that they want to be kept radar. Now that's one thing versus to when we get to the bottom line, when it comes time to green light and maybe make it radar, and then like they're like, oh, let's cut this out. That's a good thing about Deadpool. You can just take out all his lines and replace it with something else, right? So I would love to believe, because I think that would be something really ballsy if they legitimately said, we're making an R-rated movie. It's in the MCU. We know we might cut some people off, but families, you're gonna have to really be clear with your kids. And we've talked about this before, so it's nothing new, but I always say that maybe he will be in the MCU, but it will be the most skippable MCU movie. And with Deadpool being MCU, it's just that he gets to make references to the MCU and he's in that world. But like the adventure is some guy took like his pizza money and wants to get it back, right? Like he won't be blowing up Chicago. He won't be doing anything like that. Like we're going to talk about Venom too. Like I don't think if he was in the MCU, it's going to cause any problems to where you have to watch his movie. I think they would make it. Well, oh, he appears in the Avengers and he's with the team, but you don't have to watch his solo movies with the kids.
I could see them doing something like streaming services change so much. I could see them doing something like they have with the kind of Christmas movie where they make like a lower rated version that comes to Disney Plus like a few months down the line that has like all the story beats or the stuff that's relevant for like the future Avengers movie or whatever, but is watchable by all audiences. And maybe that's the only one they have on Disney Plus because they're not like they don't have anything R-rated on Disney Plus right now. And even like we obviously were joking about, I don't know if it was on cast, about some movie that had like some nudity in it and they like edited like a bunch of extra hair on this lady so that they could cover her ass or something. And like, yeah, like I could totally see them doing something like that with Deadpool where they edit this movie down to fit onto Disney Plus. That way they can see it. Yes, they're not seeing it at launch, but I don't even know. I wonder how much kids care about that these days, like how in the know they are. Like, man, I got to see like Endgame, I'm sure, but maybe these other movies they can wait. So maybe that's a route for them to go. And then when it comes to like the team that they bring along with it, I almost think you just take Reynolds and move on because so much of the story they've been telling so far has so much baggage with it because of X-Men stuff, right? Because they're going to want to start X-Men from scratch and do their own thing. And yes, you could like parse around it and take a couple characters, but then leave out Colossus and Negasonic, Teenage Warhead. But like, I don't know. I kind of think that that's risky at that point. I almost think you just take Deadpool, just Ryan Reynolds, and move on. I think that's maybe the safest route and gives them the most creative freedom while still like maintaining what made that movie, those two movies, great. I mean, there's other stuff and we love those other characters, but really it's Ryan Reynolds. It's the character, the title character is what makes it what it is. So
yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that Colossus will not survive just because they're gonna want to do their MCU X-Men or whatnot. And I think even in the Deadpool movie, let's say it is in the MCU, you can make a joke about him having a older cast or something like that, So I think it's prime position to, we've talked about it before, right? Deadpool it's the easiest hand wave movie in the world because he breaks the fourth wall and it's over, right? So
yeah. That is just another thing why I think we're gonna get Deadpool before Blade is I feel like, I mean, eventually this COVID stuff will have to subside and then we'll be back in theaters seeing a Deadpool movie. And I feel like the first person that's gonna talk about it would be like Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. That's like talking about this pandemic that we just survived.
yeah. I would have been here a lot sooner if it wasn't for yeah.
Like that.
I'm with you guys as far as that. My heart, I love Deadpool. I love Ryan Reynolds. My heart just screams Blade because I just think it's such pitch perfect casting, and I am very interested. I could be very disappointed the way I am with some things they do with Spidey, but I want to see what they do with the MCU Blade vampires. And Mahershala is just fantastic, and I want to see that. And I still other reason why I think it's Deadpool as well because I still think Blade may get a movie, but I'm still going with the theory that he will be their Hulk this phase. He's going to be in movies but not have his own movie. They can make their own movie, but we've talked about them doing Midnight Suns or whatnot, or him appearing in Moon Knight. I think he's going to be that. I think he's going to be a really cool side character that pops up a bunch, but I don't even know if he's getting his own movie because they never even technically announced his own movie, right? They just showed a Blade logo and they showed Mahershala. I would assume if you have a logo, there should be something being made, but maybe it's just a flex, right? To be like, look, we had our team whip up this cool MCU logo. Maybe it's just even a 3-episode miniseries of Blade on Disney Plus or something like that. So I want it to be Blade. I think October is a fun month too, especially for Halloween, but Deadpool fits right in there. It's not necessarily I want Deadpool. I just want to know what is happening with Deadpool. I want the Feige, and that's the thing that's shitty with Comic-Con. There's a chance we could have heard something. I want that Feige on stage, hand Ryan Reynolds the MCU hat that he handed Mahershala Ali. I want that logo. I want it is rated R, blah, 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 or it isn't rated R, but you're going to love it, stuff like that. Like I want just a confirmation of what we're doing with it exactly, because it's just crazy. When did the last one come out? We started the podcast. It was 2015. Was it like 2017 or something?
It was like right before Infinity War, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So that was 2018.
Well, I guess, and then if you count the Christmas special one, that was the same year at the end of the year.
So I guess it's only been like 2 years the most. So it just seems
it feels like it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, just the fact that Infinity War and Endgame have both happened since then, it just feels like 5 years have passed. So
yeah.
Next. Hi, God, this topic. Venom 2. Venom 2 has a title. Obviously, that also got delayed. Also, we won't talk about this much, but Spider-Verse got delayed till October 2022. So that sucks just because I just can't wait to see what they do next with Spider-Verse. But Venom is delayed. It has the same date as Batman used to be because Batman's delayed. Everything's been delayed. But so it's coming July 2022. But we got our official title. We have Venom, There Will Be Carnage. And then the same day, Tom Hardy posts a picture of Venom with Tom Holland's Spider-Man in his mouth. He deletes it. Now, here's the history of this and why people are taking this as like maybe there's something going on. So after Venom 2, when they start production, he posted a picture of Venom and Carnage fighting. That was pretty obvious because we knew Carnage was like introduced to the last movie, right? But then he deleted it right away. So it's like someone told him not to. 2 weeks before they officially confirmed Andy Serkis as the director, he posted a picture of something to do with Andy Serkis, like on a red carpet, and then he deleted it a few hours later. And then Andy Serkis was announced as a director. So obviously, this could be a hype machine Tom Hardy's doing, or some people are speculating is Tom Hardy the same as Tom Holland, where he just lets things fly on his Instagram. He posts his photo, he's getting really hyped. Oh, I got something, and then someone's like, "Hey, take that fucking down." Like we can't. Feige hasn't cleared that. So one, what do you guys think about the title? And two, which I fucking hate. And two, what do you think about Holland being in the Venom 2 movie? I hate that it's Venom There Will Be Carnage, but Venom There Will Be Carnage. Before you guys go, I think personally Holland's going to be in it, but in a very small role. But I think a post-credit scene is coming, and you're going to get Tom Holland, and we're going to get that universe all set up. So, Kirkland, what do you think about Spidey's your favorite superhero all the time? So, what do you think about the title? And what do you think about Holland being in this movie?
Well, first off, I just like to picture Tom Hardy just like in his basement, like just figuring out a way to like troll someone. It's like, oh, I'll just take a photo of like Tom Holland's Spider-Man in Venom's mouth and then post it for like a couple hours and like just ways to fuck with people. It's clearly he's done in the past, but I mean, it's come true in the past. So who knows?
Posts a picture of Deadpool and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah. Deadpool like wearing the Venom suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so title sucks. I'll just I'll just come right out and say that.
Yep.
Jeez. It's like, oh, who's gonna be in that movie? Well, Carnage will be in it. There will be Carnage. Jesus.
And remember, that's the thing he said at the end of that movie. Remember, there's gonna be. I think he said there's gonna be Carnage, but
Jesus.
Still. Oof.
Can you imagine? Like anytime there's like a post-credit scene, whatever like the villain says, that's what the next movie is called. Oh my god.
Well, we're gonna Craven's in some cell somewhere. I'm gonna go hunting. We get it. You're Craven the Hunter. Calm down.
Doctor Strange does say this is gonna be the end game.
That's right. Yeah.
Apparently, it's just the genre.
Yeah.
So yeah, not a fan of the title whatsoever. Like I would have been so much more happy if it was just Venom 2, like honestly, or like I don't know, any other name. It's just so cringy. Like when you just cut the shit, like that's just what it is. It's cringy. It's not getting me hyped. Like the reason why I'm hyped is because Tom Hardy, and I want to see another like CGI Venom, because I think they did such a good job with like the actual Venom like looking well on screen. I think that was my favorite part of that movie. So I'm just excited to see more of that. Not, I don't know, Woody Harrelson as Carnage. It's just, there's so many red flags with this movie, but at the same time, I feel like we're all going to laugh like we did last time. And we'll be like, yeah, it was a fun experience. I hate that movie, but it was fun. And then the Tom Holland stuff, I think I'm pretty much with you, Travis. I think he will make an appearance. I think it will be pretty minor. I don't think he'll be like, even if it's, so wait a minute.
And he just takes a photo of him.
So wait, sorry. So this movie's based in San Francisco, right? Like, are they sticking? Where that one is?
Well, I guess because that's where Cletus was locked up at the end of this movie, right? And remember, Morbius, which is in this universe, don't forget, had that Michael Keaton cameo in the trailer.
Yeah.
And remember, there's those Spider-Man posters of Spider-Man Wanted or Spider-Man Murdered. So we don't know what that means, but that could mean Spidey's on the run somewhere or something like that. So that's what it's been shown, that he is at least wanted by authorities.
Yeah. So I think if we see him, he'll either be just like an end credit scene, like little cameo there, or we might even just see like Tom Holland, not as Spider-Man, like you just mentioned, like maybe he's on the run, maybe he just like sees him on the subway, kind of like a Stan Lee type cameo where he doesn't really say anything. It's just like, oh hey kid, how's it going, and then just like says something. Yeah. So that's my prediction. I think we will see him, but it'll be pretty minor.
So I don't think this would happen, but would you get hyped, even though it's this Venom, would you get hyped? Spider-Man's on the run. He just is running from somebody. He bumps into Eddie Brock and he goes, oh, sorry. And then he's running. You see on his back the symbiote crawling down his neck, and it just sets up what could happen in Spider-Man 3. What about that?
And he would definitely have like a Spidey sense when that happens too.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, I'd probably be pretty hyped. I'm pretty susceptible when it comes to anything symbiote related. So if I just get another like black suit Spider-Man, I'd be pretty down for it. Let's be honest. But it could be one of those things too that they hint to it, and it's just there's never a sequel.
Mhm.
Yeah. So who knows? I would get hyped though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, Dylan.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you guys. The title is bad. This Carnage stuff is sketchy at best. I don't know. I think I'm excited.
Sketchy
I'm just
at
always
best.
yeah, sketchy at best. I'm always excited for Spidey stuff. I love Spidey, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm excited. He's sounds like he's going to be in this because I don't know if you look at like the state of superhero movies is like the DC stuff is it's good at this point. Like they're making solid movies, but
Mhm.
I just don't really connect with those generally. And then MCU, I really like a lot most of the MCU, and like they're still making some great stuff. Like Infinity War is just amazing movie. And I think we're definitely losing something with Fox being gone and getting absorbed by
Yeah.
Disney. And we've talked that to death. But I guess that's why I'm cool with like how weird this Morbius movie looks and how fucking strange this Venom stuff is, because it's just like a different pocket of just like these oddities, right? It's like that part in the museum you like have to go past a staircase and it's like this deep dark room and there's just all these strange things on display, and I'm down to go to that exhibit. I want to see this weird stuff. So I think I just love the Spider-Verse, not the movie, but just like that universe of characters. So I'm down. And I the thing is, I don't really have too much experience with Carnage himself. Like he does have a short appearance in the animated show, but I don't really know too much about the character other than that. And like I don't know, in Ultimate Alliance too, he's in there, but like that doesn't tell me much about him. So I don't know. It looks weird. Woody Harrelson's hair is strange. The whole thing sounds weird. The title's bad, but I don't know. I'm still more excited for this than a lot of other movies right now, just because of how strange, and like Andy Serkis too. Like that gets me hyped. I love Andy Serkis. So yeah, it's all weird, and honestly, that's a good thing for me. Just something different and kind of refreshing in a way. Just being super off-putting and weird. So yeah.
Dylan, what are the two? Because I know there's this one, but then there's Conjuring the Devil Made Me Do It. Do you remember the other title one you hate right now? There's another one that's super long. I can't remember, but there's so many movies doing it.
I mean, you can probably like if it has more than 6 words in it, I'm probably against it. I just think that's too many words for the title of a movie. Yeah, it's definitely The Conjuring. Like I didn't even like the title Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at first. I just felt like it was too much of a mouthful, right? I can't remember the third one. It's mostly Conjuring is one that sticks in my mind as just being awful. But yeah, this one's joined right along those lines.
Yeah, this isn't one of those where it's a long one, but for me, that Halloween Kills is my least favorite title going around, just because I feel like it's it's just so lazy. Shout out to Greg from Civil Server. He's in the YouTube chat. He's just saying the title is strange. So yeah, it is. So yeah, if this goes well, Zoom whatnot, our plan is to live stream in the future so we can interact. I didn't promote it because every other time I've promoted in the past, it fucking crashes. So I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm testing it, and luckily we've been all waving flags. Let's see what's next here. I wanted to bring this up just because I watched them all last week, and I just want to ask you honestly, do you care about Hunger Games anymore? They're doing a prequel. It's about the President Snow. I don't even think this will be a long conversation, but just that, do you like even care about this? Have any interest? Because I just feel from a general audience, I feel like everyone was done with it when those movies ended. Like, okay, I'm good to move on.
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't watch, like I saw the first one when it came out in theaters, and that was like all my experience with the Hunger Games. Shay and I had actually watched it like 2019, so just last year. And I like just watching them through that. When I was on, I think the second last movie, I was done with that show. I was done with that series. So
that's
here
when
we
I
are.
quit too.
Yeah. So here we are, years upon years later, and they're like bringing. Oh, that messed with my head there. That little green screen.
I forgot to pull it up on our last topic. This is Deadpool as the symbiote. So yeah, just
that's awesome.
Yeah. There you go.
That's awesome. I love our green screen editions.
I like that.
More exciting.
See, that's what we can do eventually. If the Zoom works out, I can pull people's tweets and people's comments and like throw them up there. So,
geez, where was I?
You said you quit on Hunger Games in the second last one.
So then years upon years later, we're getting like a prequel for President Snow, who was he was one of my least favorite characters. I'm pretty sure. Like I'm not alone there. So I don't know. I just thought it was really random, and I felt like if this was gonna happen, it should have happened like years ago. I'm pretty sure we've had that conversation with another thing where it's just they're like resurfacing. Actually, I think it was Dylan's thoughts on Black Widow. I think you've said that after, because you thought the movie should have came out like around Civil War, right? Because it just seems
right.
weird
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have like similar feelings there. That I just feel like they kind of missed their boat. I don't hear people like asking for more Hunger Games, at least in my social circles. So I don't know. I think it's a little strange. I'm not too excited for it, to say anything else. Yeah.
I think it sounds like I'm in the same boat as you guys as well in these movies. I saw the first two and then just never watched Mockingbird. What is the name of the third one?
It's Hunger Games, Catching
Mockingbird?
Fire, and then it's Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2. Remember, they pulled the split.
Yeah. I haven't seen either of them. I really liked I kind of like both of them. I haven't watched them in a long time, so it's hard to say. Like, I don't think I've watched either of them since we started podcasting, which is kind of how I've started seeing movies differently, obviously. But I like them. I think it's just a fun concept. It's kind of funny too that like that general idea is like just the most popular video game genre.
It's like
right
Warzone,
now. Yeah, like these battle royale games. So I don't know. I really like. I just love the idea, even if like the story or the world isn't super intriguing. I just love the idea of like that, last half of the movie, whatever it is, when they're in the battle and you get to watch it all play out. Like I think it's so interesting. So I think the reason why I didn't watch the third one, like part 1 or part 2, is because that wasn't really the story was about.
No, it's not whatsoever. It's all politics. It's all what's going on in the world.
Yeah,
and I think that's why I hated it, because I'm totally the same with you. I love the Hunger Games stuff in it, like the tournament of it. Like that stuff was exciting. But yeah, everything else.
That's where I think that this could be interesting, because we can go back to that and we can actually have a tournament. I don't know if that's what it's going to be about. Like I don't know if
I got the plot. So the plot is his family. Obviously, it's going to be like a rising of power. So his family's in poverty. I can't remember what they were, but you remember how all the fighters in Hunger Games had like a coach or something like that? He is the aide to this girl from District 12, just like Katniss, he's her aide to get her in the Hunger Games. So I think it's going to be, even though it's a President Snow prequel, I think it's going to be a two-hander if you have him, but then you also have this female lead that's going into the Hunger Games. So it might be more of a point of view of what the spectators are doing during it, which I don't know how exciting that sounds, but maybe there's some fun, like they always said you could earn like prizes, right, and send them stuff. So maybe there's some kind of fun ways that like you could do that, flashing back and forth with some action and then him. But yeah, and I imagine he'll fall in love with this girl and she'll die, and then when he falls in love and she dies, that turns him and puts him on the evil path. I imagine that's the fucking movie. Like it's just like it's every movie we've seen before. It's a prequel, so we know like he's gonna end up being this terrible guy who creates all these Hunger Games and kills all these kids, right? So it's like another prequel that is just
yeah. And honestly, that's like, I don't know, if we get some fun like set pieces and we see some more of the games, like that's honestly all I want. Like I could not tell you what the plot is of the two movies I've seen. It's just been so long, and that's not really what I cared about at the time. I guess my main question would be, okay, if they're doing this, like I wonder what they'll do for casting, because at the time Jennifer Lawrence was, I'm not going to say nobody, but like that was her breakout role, right? And so I wonder if they'll go with the same strategy where they take a relatively unknown actor and revolve the story around them, or if they're going to go with a more known like.
I guess they would do someone young. I feel like that's my guess, because just from like the plot that you broke down, Travis, I'm assuming President Snow would be around early 20s. Actually, no, because you said if he's the aide, right?
Yeah, but I think it is almost like he is 16 to 20 or something. That you could be right. He could be older, but at the end of the day, their child laws don't make much sense in this world, right? They're having 6-year-olds end up in this thing. So I think they can throw that out the window. But I think they'll go the route of they'll get someone younger, but someone in a name like Millie Bobby Brown or one of the other Stranger Things kids. I just wonder with that's why I think it's going to be a two-hander, because to me, the two things you're taking out of the people that love these movies are, one, whether you like it or not, there was the love triangle, right? It was like the Twilight, you had Gale and Katniss and what the
Peeta.
Peeta. That scared me, actually. Yeah. So like you had that I assume would be gone, but maybe they could work that in with Snow and this woman. But at its base so far, that seems gone. And then the other thing is, to me, it being a young female-led thing was a huge thing. To place it on the villain and also the male villain, to me, always felt kind of strange, as far as it feels like they're cutting off the people that would be interested in this. I am interested interested in, but in the way of I will watch it at home, unless people come out and just saying, hey, this was a fantastic movie, you got to see it. I rewatched. It's funny when this news came out. It came out last week, and every weekend because COVID, we're doing marathons. We did Hunger Games because I'm the same as Kirkland. I stopped at part 3. I saw in theaters, like, I'm good. I'm done. I don't care about the story. And then so I waited like 8 years for that last movie, and it didn't really meet much hype. It kind of was like, yeah, I was kind of hoping after all this time. And those movies, honestly, they're still fine, but they didn't age the greatest. They feel very dated and very low budget, and just it was not a great experience. I had a good enough time. They were a fun 4-movie watch, but I just don't. I think also if you look at the financials, all those movies, Catching Fire was the biggest one. Mockingjay went down a little bit, but then a lot of people dropped off after that part 1 because I think a lot of people were turned off by it. So I'm just wondering if you cut out a lot of the things the audience liked and you had a franchise that already was getting lesser returns, how many people really care about it? And you also have people like my sister who loved it, and she was like in elementary school, like going to middle school, but now they're older and maybe the nostalgia will get them, or have they just grown past it? I just don't think this is going to be as big a sensation as the first go around was to me.
Yeah.
So these are.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask. These are based off books. Is this based off a book as well? The prequel? Is
yeah.
that
Next month there's a book that comes out, The Ballad of Songbirds or some shit like that. But like
Songbird.
Yeah. But that's right. I don't know if it's strange timing that they put out the book and then right away they're like, oh, it's a movie. So I'm not sure. Maybe it was written to like get another movie going. But either way, the next month the book does come out, and then they'll make a movie based upon that book, and it's the same plot.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's weird.
I was just gonna mention like who would be casted, right? Because we were just comparing like when Jennifer Lawrence, she wasn't the most well-known actress like before the series started, and I feel like even the series wasn't that well known like when the because I didn't know it was a book series until I think after the movie, like when it was done, I found out it was a book series. So I feel like now that it's pretty much like an established series, everyone kind of knows what the Hunger Games is. Like I remember a lot of people they don't know what the Battle Royale series is, but they just call it like the Hunger Games style game, right? Like it's that well known now. So I feel like, yeah, it might incline them to want to get like a more well known actress, because before, like if Hunger Games 1 didn't do amazing, I don't know, when it came out profit wise, I feel like they could have just been like, okay, yeah, we tried it and didn't work out so well. But because it was such a hit, that's what followed these sequels, and it actually like made the series like pretty well known. So I feel like they would probably want to get someone that's, I mean, at least fairly not necessarily well known, but not like Joe Blow off the street.
Good actor though.
Yeah, and maybe it's a bad example because Jennifer Lawrence definitely isn't just some random Joe Blow off the street. She's
but
pretty.
You're saying they're going to go after someone at least known, like cast them, and all of us will be like, oh, we've seen her or heard of her.
Well,
exactly.
I mean, if you compare it to the other ones, like obviously had like Woody Harrelson in like that role, the coach, and he was obviously really well known at the time. So I mean, you could have the supporting cast be known actors and just get like a relatively unknown for the main.
No, that's for sure. Yeah, no, that's very true. Could be Siri, that actress from The Witcher. She's pretty young. I don't know what age they're going for the.
For that, I was thrown off for a loop. I was like, well, who is this?
I apologize.
That's
were you thrown for a loop, or you were thrown off for a loop? That's quite the saying there,
Charlie. Both. That's how loopy I was.
That's when you're really perplexed.
You know, the timing is really good on this. They should make a game tie-in for this movie. That's what I'm saying.
Hunger Games, the game.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they have before, but you got to do it right now. Like it's the hot genre. Go for it.
Oh yeah.
You can get like sponsors to send you stuff. Yeah, there you go. That's a good idea.
I'm
just looking to see.
Ever since the culling died, I need that exact niche. So
there's a Hunger Games simulator. I don't know what that is, but that's that's what came up. There's multiple simulators apparently.
That sounds like what they have in like Deadliest Warrior, where like we simulated this battle 1,000 times. Like that's what I'm picturing, where you put in stats and then it tells you who won.
And PETA lost all of them. Yeah. We're talking about, I don't have any transition. Talking about people returning to franchises. So I forgot to mention this in the Marvel section because it came in a little bit later. But this was something that was going around last week, and then it picked up a little bit of steam. But it was going around last week and it was smaller, so I didn't put it in the newscast. But then a few other people were kind of like, yeah, I've kind of heard some rumblings. I'd say this is about C+ tier rumor. But again, talking about returning franchises, there's been rumors going around that Marvel Studios, Feige, that team has been talking about Whedon possibly coming back to the MCU to direct and possibly directing the Fantastic Four. One, do you think that is something you're interested in, him tackling that? And two, what do you think the likelihood of that is? Because he hasn't directed anything in quite a while. Remember, he was attached to Batgirl, but then he dropped out of that because he couldn't crack the story, which I think is the biggest bullshit thing.
Did he do the Avengers, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, Avengers 1 and 2.
Original. Yeah, so I'm pretty down for that, not gonna lie. I feel like the Fantastic Four movie could be something similar to Avengers. It's not quite to that scale, but you do have, a team coming together, assembling. So I feel like it has fairly similar themes to what the Avengers had. I don't know, and I really love that movie, and I liked his directing style there. So I would be totally down for it. And I don't know, it's cool to have like a returning MCU director that you've seen his work before. You kind of, I don't know, I don't know what the best word to say it is, but he has a decent track record, and I feel like I would trust that. Yeah.
He did Buffy, Serenity. He has like a bunch of
really? He
stuff.
did Buffy?
That's his show. He was a showrunner. Firefly, he was a showrunner. He's been around the block.
Wasn't he one of the cooks in the kitchen on a DC movie as well? Like he was pulled in at the last minute or something?
Justice League.
Justice League.
Which is the Snyder Cut people will never let him forget because, apparently he destroyed the movie even though he's just trying to help out. But he did. And he was supposed to do Batgirl, but I think they kind of had a sour relationship after that and he dropped away, and he's been appearing a bit more because I remember he was for I think the Infinity War Blu-ray for a while because him and Marvel had a falling out and he wasn't doing much stuff, but then he started back like appearing at premieres, and then they did this Infinity War directors roundtable of all these MCU directors, and apparently he was on the special feature, so it seems like he's been getting more integrated back with them, so it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I almost don't think it, like, obviously it matters who the director is. I don't think it matters that much, though. Like, I feel like for the first time we see the X-Men, the first time we see the Fantastic Four in the MCU, I feel like so much of that is going to, like, there's not going to be tons of creative freedom on the director there. It's going to be, this is the movie you need to make, and then they're going to try and find the guy who's going to make that movie for them. And so I honestly, I think it's like a safe pick. Like, he's done it before. He's done team-ups.
Yeah.
He knows how to make. Now, obviously, MCU movies have that certain look to them, have that certain je ne sais quoi, and he knows how to capture that. So
he almost created it with Avengers. Like they follow that template now of those team ups. Like it's changed over the time, but for the first little bit, it felt like, oh, this is after Avengers.
They had to land it with Avengers. Look at Justice League. It didn't land with the team up, and now they're not doing team ups anymore. Yeah. So it's hugely important. But yeah, I just don't know how much, like, individually it's going to matter so much for the director there. Obviously it'll have a say, of course, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's a fine pick. We still don't really know much about what their idea for these characters are, really, so it's hard to say like what style we want to see as fans.
Yeah, I was trying to pull up, Taylor made this wicked profile picture for this topic, and it was he must have been on some drugs. I think I can pull it up. Like, it was crazy. Oh, I don't know if I can.
He was drinking whiskey again, was he?
Oh, no, I don't think. I maybe will later. There comes Deadpool again.
There's Deadpool.
So,
dude, I like the GeekVerse logo in pink.
I like that.
It's pretty cool, right?
Definitely breast cancer awareness. We should use that logo.
All right, bullying day and
for sure.
So for me, I like, if you put a gun to my head and you say we need to get a good Fantastic Four movie, I'm down, because we've had so many bad ones, right? We've had the unreleased one, and we will be doing a retro, and I will update people on that, because the retro I'm waiting to see, because Nolan and Warner Brothers said they came out and they were like, oh, we're not delaying Tenet, which I was like, oh, okay. So I'm gonna wait a few more weeks. If they don't, then we are gonna do the Nolan one like we promised, even if it's over the remote casting. If they delay it, then we'll get into the ones we talked about. The Batman Arkham one we're still doing no matter what, but the Fantastic Four one might wait, but we will probably do, because it's going on for a while, but we're just waiting. But Nolan, he wants us to see his movies. He can't, you got to see it in the cinema, everything like that. He's not going to VOD.
He's a master of time manipulation. So maybe I don't know what he did, but maybe he went into the future and made a finished film, and he's going to go back in time and drop it in July. Who knows?
Oh yeah,
if anyone can do it, he can.
We're all going to be there in our suits watching everything like this. Okay, yeah, here we go. Look at this. This is what Taylor made.
Oh, look at that.
On every member of the Fantastic Four.
That's first edition Fantastic Four cover. I like that.
Here, I can leave that. Oh, I can't even see anything.
I like it with the thing. He kind of looks cool with like the hexagons. It's kind of cool.
So yeah, just to get a good movie, I'm down for Joss Whedon to do it. The only thing where I push back as far as the director being important, I feel that like we talk about with Whedon, they have this template. You want the characters to go there, want the story to go there, but there's always, like you said, the Genesis Quad Dylan of like a director. I feel like James Gunn, what he did with Guardians, felt like, okay, it was a Marvel movie, but he took his sensibilities and did that. I think the same thing Ryan Coogler and Black Panther. So I think that's the way I kind of want it. Is I want somebody new just to be that new. Like I feel like Avengers happened and it was, oh, Avengers the big dog, and then when Guardians happened, it was like you saw a shift of MCU getting a bit more comedic. And then I feel with, I don't know if we've got that shift necessarily because we haven't seen these other films, but with Infinity War, Endgame, Civil War, we got these films that were on this grand, huge, epic scales of like big consequences happening. So there's always been like a certain movie that changes the tide, and I kind of want that with Fantastic Four. I want like a weird, it wouldn't happen, but I want like Jordan Peele to come in and be like, I'm directing Fantastic Four, and not make it completely batshit crazy, but anybody that has a really good take. So that's the thing where I'm down. I'm not gonna poo-poo the idea. I would want him to do something else, maybe like, I think if we've heard these rumors of Captain Marvel 2 being the crossover, it'd be great if he did that. Then again, I don't know if they want him doing Avengers again. They might want to change up someone new, but I think someone like that, I don't know, maybe one of these sequels that are established. For a while, I've always been pitching Payne Reed, who's done the Ant-Man movies. That's still my pick, but I'd still want, because I think those movies are Fantastic Four movies the way I would like to see them. But I think there's other people out there you could get, but I do think with this one, Whedon is a possibility, because I think they just want to get for sure at least not a home run, but at least a run, right? In sports terms, they want to make sure that people walk away and they're like, I liked that Fantastic Four movie, because with the other ones, they are either mediocre to that was a very bad movie. So I think they just want to suffer for even like Thor better than Thor Dark World. I think they'll even go for that. They just want something that the people will like. They'll cast it well. I trust MCU that way. They've casted all their actors really well. So like Dylan said, the plans will pretty much be laid out for them. I just would want something a little bit different, but maybe they just want to play it safe for F4, right? So
yeah. I think you make a good point of there being these kind of landmark moments in the MCU that change things. I kind of feel like that's more the role of what X-Men will be, though.
That's true.
Yeah, just because one, like the implications, right? Like that's going to change the whole scope.
Everything.
Now mutants in this world, but then also that's just so many characters, and those are very grounded heroes as well. You have to imagine. I can't imagine a world where they're not interacting with, like where the X-Men and the Avengers aren't interacting when there's some other, big world-ending threat in the world. Like you have to imagine they'd be working together on that. Whereas Fantastic Four, I feel like they could fit into what we already have in terms of structure. Whereas X-Men, I don't know if that's necessarily the same, but I think, and even too, like just, I don't know, introducing 4 new characters. Obviously there'll be a villain, other stuff as well. I think that's a bit easier than like X-Men. It's going to have tons and tons of characters, or like there always is this fear in the back of my mind with Eternals, right? Like, man, that's gonna be really hard to make all these characters feel important, or like as important as Gamora, as, I don't know, Ant-Man, any of these characters that we've grown attached to over time. So
it's a roster of like 10 characters to start.
So many.
I'm not worried in the sense of I don't know much about it. I just still haven't really been sold on it. The stuff they've been talking, I like the cast, and I gotta go back and watch some of this director's work because I haven't seen much. I've just seen people say, "Oh, she's made some really good."
It's going to be like really hard to edit that into like a really stellar movie.
Yeah. So I that's the biggest one I have the most question mark on, as far as you need to sell me. And we've always said this, right? One trailer takes and maybe we're like, okay, that looks good. But Kirkland, anything else to add on this?
Nope. I pretty much said what I wanted.
So let's see here. So I wanted to show our last movie topic. This is a Patron question from Decurry Sanchez. He gave us Dragon Ball Broly last week to watch. So thank you for giving us the good Dragon Ball movie. That was nice.
Yeah.
So I'm just tying this in with 2 things. As they announced that Scoob is going to VOD in May. I'll be watching that. And if anyone else watches it, I'll review it because I'm a Scooby-Doo fan. I got kids. So it's going for rental $20, purchasing $25. But I'm tying this in with this because his question was, with the foreseeable future, even after COVID, do you see theaters potentially like Disney, Warner Brothers doing day-and-day releases as far as, look at video games, you got a physical and a digital. Now, obviously, that's very different, but he's kind of proposing, do you think we could in the future see movies putting out, let's say, that example, Fantastic Four is out next week, Friday in the theater, but if you want, you can also stay home and watch it. Do you think once things get back to normal, that's going to be a possibility, or you think it's going to go back to the old ways? Kirkland, you can start.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting. I mean, no one's ever had to experience this before, right? So it's definitely a big question mark there. Um, just like predicting wise, I feel like I don't know. Like I want to say that they wouldn't do that. They would just be like, well, if you don't want to go see the movie, like sucks to suck, man. Like it's like we're not released on VOD as well. But then again, I wasn't expecting like Onward to drop VOD like right away, or right, or these other VOD movies. Like there's what was the other one that was
They did well. They had movies that had released, but they put them out like Bloodshot, Invisible Man, The
right?
Hunt.
Yeah, Invisible
Yeah,
Man was the one I was
yeah, a
thinking
few
of.
like that. And then there's another Tom Hardy movie coming out this month or next month called Capone and stuff like that. So there's a few of them that are dropping still on VOD right now.
Yeah, it's just it's really just unsure for me because I mean we don't even know when everyone's going to be comfortable going to the movie theater again, right? So they might be just forced to do like the VOD as well as movie theater route. I don't know. Like I wish I knew more about the theater's standpoint on like what their plan is once they're like, okay, yeah, you can go to the movie theater, but like don't sit next to each other. So maybe like only half the capacity of the theater, right, could be filled because maybe they'll want like a gap between the people. Like I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, that's been proposed, but that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
like almost like a state country by country thing, right? Because I think
Yeah.
Georgia is opening their theaters and stuff up next week, and some people have said, "Hey, don't do that," but they're saying, "Oh, well, we're gonna make people keep a social distance, and we're gonna have like limited things. Like obviously, already things are limited, but maybe a little loose just to see what happens." So I think that's gonna be. I think almost every like I think Kelowna will be different than maybe what they do in Calgary, right? Like I think it's gonna be
Yeah.
whatever the mayor or those people of that city want to do, which is going to be weird because you're going to have cities maybe that are doing fine and their theaters are good, or they're like maybe like you said half full, and then there's other theaters that we're not opening at all right now. So
Yeah. So like again, it's just tough to say because we have no idea. Like I don't know. Each city is going to handle it differently. Each country is going to handle it differently. I feel like if you're dropping a movie, you're kind of hoping that everyone's kind of abiding by the same rules of, well, let's plan that everyone in I don't know, Belgium can go see this movie, but oh no, joke's on us. They can't even go to the movie theater, right? So I feel like maybe they'll do like the movie release right away, and then if it doesn't do well, maybe they do the VOD route like a little bit later, not quite like months and months after, but maybe a few weeks or maybe even just a week after. Like I could definitely see them doing that, but I also feel like they have people that get paid a lot of money on like the strategy of releasing movies, and I feel like they'll really be working out a plan of going over of if people are going to be I don't know, just planning to see if people are going back to the theater, and if not, have like the VOD plan lined up because I don't know, like it seems to be working. I haven't really followed like any VOD like numbers wise on how those do compared to how much money they would have made. Like I have no idea any of that stuff.
well, I don't know how I forgot this one because I had to fucking watch Trolls, and that was something. But
That was a movie.
and we rented it, so it's like, hey, we got to make sure you watch it. We gotta
Yeah.
we gotta make sure it happens. So what was it? Trolls, they put it out, and what it did was I think it did like 54% less than it did the first one in box office. But honestly, for a VOD one that like was not like promoted the whole time, right, to be like, oh, it's gonna be VOD. It's not like, let's say we make a movie, then we say, hey, we're dropping, but it's gonna be a VOD from start. It was like just it was weeks ago when before the movie came out to say, oh, we're gonna make it VOD. So it wasn't much promotion, and it just kind of dropped, and then it happened, and it did 54% of the first one, which is pretty good considering this is still really new. Like the way people have to catch on to Netflix and stuff like that means a lot of families and people bought. So I think even with Scoob it's going to have a similar thing. But if there's a movie where they're previewing, like again Fantastic Four, they're previewing the whole marketing that you can get in theaters, but then the week after you can get it on VOD or whatever it is, I think you will see those go up. And I do think, I don't know if it's going to be day and day. I could see some smaller studios doing that, but Sanchez, if you're asking Marvel and like Warner Brothers, I still think that bread and the butter is the theatrical experience right now. And I think that they could maybe do, like Kirkman said, weeks or maybe a month, but I don't know if days is going to happen yet. I just, that feels too much. But then at the same time, they may only want to have this set up because what happens if like so many of these entertainment companies have been hurt the bottom line. So I think they do want to have something set up because I think Warner Brothers even said in the future, we're going to look into changing the way we do release movies. So I think most businesses don't want this to happen again. Of course, no one wants to happen again, but from them, they don't want to be in a state where, okay, we're making no money whatsoever. So it's like, okay, theaters are closed. Well, that's fine. Wonder Woman was going to come out 2 days. Even that would be fine. Of like you get the Thursday, Friday, not fine, but maybe this strategy, you get the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the Monday or Tuesday, that's when you watch a VOD. But if you want to go the weekend first and see it on the big screen, then boom, you go there. So I could see them doing that because they don't want to, in the future, they don't want this happening again. They want, let's say the next COVID that happens in 5 years, hopefully it doesn't, but let's say if it did, they want to be able to go, look, we have a way you can watch this movie. It's nothing new. It's nothing that you haven't seen before. It's like Netflix, right? My mom had no idea what Netflix was. Now she uses it on the daily, right? So I think you can make any mainstream people, same way we talk about MCU, people stay after the fucking end credits now because they know, oh, this is a case. So if you start previewing, hey, movies in the theaters week after it's VOD, whatever it is, I could see that. But I think the smaller studios could do a day-and-day release, but the bigger ones, I think it's still too early for them to go, hey, we're going to do day-and-day release for digital and theater. I think they might have some sort of week grace period, or they may just do that in times of emergency or something like that.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Dylan, I was just finishing. What are your thoughts on Sanchez's question there about maybe day-and-day releases? Do you think that's something that could happen in the future? Or do you think that's maybe too much for some of these bigger studios?
Right. Yeah. Apologies if I repeat anything you guys said. I dropped internet for a couple minutes there, but yeah, we actually had this. We talked about this a bit on. I want to say it was a few episodes ago. We were talking about like when Black Widow got delayed. I think we had
because that was the first like huge one where we're like, oh man, it's really changing.
Yeah. So I had a quick question for. Well, Travis and maybe Kirkland. I haven't rented any of these movies that have gone to VOD yet. Where do you watch these? Like, what website? Or do you watch them like on your box or something, or cable TV or something?
So for Trolls, we did the Apple streaming service. They have that where we just paid the $20 and it was just on there. So, and I think I could be wrong, but I think Prime had as well, because Amazon Prime just usually gives you everything. So I think Prime, when we went to Prime Video, was also like, oh, you can purchase Trolls right now. I think we just did Apple because we have our Apple accounts to it. It could be on the phone, stuff like that. So and all the apps, I think any major kind of app like that, an Apple and Amazon would have it.
I think I saw it on like the PlayStation like video store
that
as
too.
well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious about that for something like a Disney, right? Like if they do put a movie up for streaming, like I just was kind of curious where it would go necessarily. But yeah, I think this is a very valid question to be asking. And I think, I don't know, that was kind of my concern when we had this discussion a while ago, is if the companies do start doing this now and they see that it's working and they're getting a lot of sales, well, maybe they'll just go this route, because if it's something like a Disney and they don't have to go through a theater, or they don't have to go through some other source, some other streaming service, and they just can do it through their own platform, then that's just 100% profit for them. And they can sell these tickets. Well, so far they're selling them for more than a regular ticket would cost at the movie theater. So they're just making, in theory, a lot more money, assuming people are buying as many tickets as you would before, which, even if people were tracking all that stuff right now, you can't really say for sure, because people don't have as much expendable income, and like the movies that have come out other than Onward, I would say, aren't really like huge. And even Onward is, I don't know, it's a big movie, but it's not an Endgame, not an Infinity War. So I definitely think this will transition into something that companies like, whoa, people are interested in this. Whoa, people are going to pay twice or 3 times as much. Let's do this, like with everything. Let's make this day and date thing. And I think it does come down to what he said in his question with the paranoia, because after, let's say, people's health is back up, or there's vaccines, whatever it is, there's that paranoia is still going to be lingering in people's minds.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Even if it is safe, it's like, I don't want to go out to this place. Or if you're in a theater and you hear someone coughing, like, you might just get this like anxious feeling in you that a lot of people might not be able to handle. So they might just say, oh, well, I guess I'm not going to the movies for right now, until they're kind of over that. So I think this will definitely stick around afterwards. Are MCU movies going to are all those going to go to home streaming? Not sure. But I think there's absolutely some studios that are going to do this for sure, especially like kids movies like Scoob, or like Travis said, Trolls. Like those might be perfect, right? Because if you have like let's say you have 4 or 5 kids or something, it's probably a hell of a lot easier to just watch that in your living room than it is to get everyone together and go to the theater. So
Well, and yeah, that's where I gotta speak up with Scoob, because I've seen some people say, and it's just my case, but when they say, oh, it's 20 and then it's only like $25 to buy it, they're like, oh, like look at that, that's still pretty pricey. But for me, it's just, well, if I went to the theater, it would have been me, Emily, and Gwen
yeah,
right
you
there.
save money. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm like, this is a steal, especially because honestly, it is $5. And that's what they want. But I probably at the stage where Gwen is most of the time, unless it's something really crappy, she'll like it and want to watch it again. So for the extra $5, I'll probably just purchase it and have it there, because why for myself just rent it, and then if she ever wants to watch again, I could have just paid maybe $5 more to have in there. So I think that's a smart strategy to only put it that, like, $10 might be pushing for people. $10, I don't know, but $5, you go, that's just one coffee, right? I could skip one coffee for my child to own Scoob.
Mhm.
And that's the thing, like you're talking about, not even just paranoia. I think it's just people with families, and also people that, like, this is like a wrestling related thing, but one wrestler, he doesn't wrestle right now because he had cancer last year and he's been doing chemo and he's recovered, but he's what do they call it? Immunocacepto. It's like when
Compromised?
it's when your immune system's like really down after like a surgery or
Yeah.
therapy or something like that. And you got to think there's many people around the world that are like that. Even if they're not sick, maybe they're recovering from a sickness and they can't do these things anymore, or they're going to be not even paranoid. They just want to be cautious because, hey, I really want to see this movie, but I also want to, stay healthy and keep my life.
Not
So
die. Yeah.
exactly. Like I'm sure Trolls 3 is going to be great, but I don't know if I want to die over it. So that's the thing where I think they do have to think about this stuff for a while. It's gonna change a lot of stuff. So it's gonna be interesting to me. When we talk about like earlier about the Fantastic Four, to me the Nolan thing, because that's coming out in July. If that one moves, that's like the last big one not to move. And if that's the case, then if it's moving in July, that means the next big one after that's Wonder Woman. If we start getting those delayed again, like Wonder Woman's already been delayed, if they start doing that, we're into bad territory. It's just because then it's just we don't know when this is going to end. We're kind of hoping that people have said, oh, maybe summer, but if it's not, then these companies just can't sit on these movies forever, right? Obviously there's movies that they haven't finished, so of course they can't do that, but if they have money to be made, they may have to eventually get cash flow. It's the same thing like Disney World and Disneyland is rumored to be, like, they're saying likely to be closed for the whole rest of the year, which that's a huge, if you think they make money off their movies and their merchandise, what they make from those parks is ridiculous. The amount of money they just gouge out of people, which is great because, hey, I love Disney World. And I can't say, it is super priced, but it's one of those, you get the experience. It's all about that. But that is a well-oiled machine that made them billions of dollars. And it's just
Allowed
not
them
there.
to buy Fox.
Yeah, well, exactly. And they just bought Fox like a few years ago, right? So it's just like that's this machine that's just churning out money for them, and it's just gone. It's halted. So that's the thing. If this thing does keep going, they are gonna have to look at all their other revenues and say, okay, what do we do? And it's still the same thing with the Mandalorian. They're dropping, which I'm excited. May the 4th, they're dropping this 8-episode series. I don't know if it's binge or stream or like weekly, but it's gonna be a documentary about the Mandalorian. So I think it's gonna be maybe episodes. I honestly don't know if they had that plan to be dropping right now. It is May the 4th, so there's a chance, but that's the thing. You may have to get people of like, hey, we were working on this documentary Mandalorian, let's make it quicker. Or just like, hey, you guys want to make a documentary about the Mandalorian, that footage and those interviews, great, go do it. Like, they might have to go in their back pocket, because if you have these movies that can't film, what do? You can only do so many Disney ABC sing-alongs before people are like, okay, I don't care that Zac Efron's back singing High School Musical, which he didn't even, the coward. Said he had no Wi-Fi to sing it. Like, come on. So
hey, I can empathize with not having internet.
But then he should just record it beforehand and then send it. I just think he didn't want to sing. He can't sing without there being an auto-tune and whatnot. He's like, oh yeah, my internet. If we needed you to sing, Dylan, we'd get you to record it.
With an auto-tune. It's just like so clearly auto-tuned.
Oh yeah. We're all in this together,
Just I wanted to ask, so Onward, like that was pretty much like, okay, COVID's going on, let's just drop this on Disney Plus. And was that like a decision to be like, let's try and get people to subscribe to this, or was that like a thought out plan? Like, what was the deal there?
I think that was just because it had came out and then it was like 2 or 3 weeks after COVID happened, and so the theaters closed. It was on VOD for 2 weeks and then it went to Disney Plus.
Okay, so it was VOD first.
So they did do a grace period of, you could get it right now, pay. I think it was the same thing, like $20 so far. And like we've talked about, like Dylan's into that, there could be a future where it's like, hey, Black Widow, you happy? Great. Here's $50, give us. So it could be that happening. But as right now, they've seemed to stayed in that $20-$25 range. But that's what it was. 2 weeks, $20 rent, and then after went on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and we have watched it many times in the household.
It's a great movie. I love it.
I love
Definitely
that movie.
recommend it.
Oh yeah, top 10 Pixar for me, honestly. So,
Dang.
anything else on that topic?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's a good question.
Yeah, thank you, Sanchez, as always. Thank you for the movie last week, and thank you for supporting us. It means the world because it's there's not much to talk about nowadays, and you guys are giving us stuff to talk about with these questions and movies. So,
His message was nice too. Made me smile, nice and warm.
Oh yeah, that's a good. That's where I was just talking about somebody else with that I've been talking about with doing some GeekVerse stuff with. It's just that's the big thing. There's been people that's been with us since day one or new people. I like that for the most part. I'd say 98.9% of the fans we have or have gone, they're all really nice people and really loyal, and they're always standing by us. So that's a great thing. Like we do appreciate it because it's just we're coming on our 5-year, and it's crazy to think that how many people we do know from this podcast and our fans and just new people. And same thing with Sanchez. He's always just retweeting our stuff on Twitter and stuff like that. So every little bit helps. Like, honestly, it does. So, you know what's going to maybe help PlayStation 5 because from a gaming news, Crash Bandicoot. There's been a rumor going around that there's a potential exclusive for PS5. And again, we're going to talk about this Horizon 2. These rumors keep saying at launch or the launch window. So I would imagine that would be like the first 2 to 6 months of the console. I don't think that's a launch window, but that's kind of what they've been kind of putting forward. But what would you guys think about one PS5 having the exclusive? I think it would be timed exclusive because they don't own Crash. It's the same way the remastered, it was timed for a while and then it went to other consoles. What do you think about potential exclusive for the PS5? And two, what do you just think about a new Crash game in general being back in the world that's not something old?
Yeah, that's interesting because I definitely thought Crash was the Sony exclusive, like until this day.
It was for a while, and then there was some sort of contract mumbo jumbo where it was like I think it was shared and then it was given up to somebody, so it was that's why it's on Switch now and Xbox One. So
he's definitely one of those characters like Spyro that like I just attached to this like the PlayStation title. So just thinking about like the PlayStation 5 possible exclusive, I would be totally down for that. I missed like the last Crash remake. I think it was just like the remakes of the
you should
trilogy,
borrow it
right?
once. I was playing them last week.
Trilogy.
Yeah, when I heard this news, I was playing it again, and I still gotta get Crash Team Racing because I love that game. But even the remasters, they took so much care in those games. So if you ever want to borrow it, let me know.
Absolutely, I'll definitely
the first
do
3
that.
games. It's fun,
Because I love those games. I played them so much on PS1 back in the day. Just like the little like sound effects, the music that goes on the certain, like when I hear that, I just like get the nostalgia trip. So I've been wanting to jump back in. Like I've said, unfortunately I missed the last one. I'll definitely borrow it from Travis, but I think it's be a perfect time because PS5 there would be a few games, but it's one of those things that I feel like it'd be a perfect time to just get a game like that brings those nostalgic memories back. But I'm also jumping into a new game system in this series of PlayStations, right? So I think it makes sense. Honestly, I feel like a lot of people would like, oh, I got a PS5, what should I get? Oh, I love Crash back in the day. I'd love to try a new one, right? So
family game too.
Yeah, no, exactly. Everyone can play it.
I think this is better than launching with Knack for the PS4.
Knack VR.
But I wonder if that was the thing where it's like, okay, we wanted to launch with a family game. Knack didn't really hit. What could we do? Well, what if we made another deal to make a Crash game? Obviously, this has probably been in the works for a while, but I'm just thinking if you're thinking years out for a PS5, to me, that seems like a more plausible family game because you could have like me, Gwen's not old enough, but let's say she was like, oh, I love Crash, I'm going to get this. And then she would try it. Where Knack, it's like, who the fuck is Knack? Like, I don't know Knack. Even though it's sold well, they got a Knack too. I've met one person who's played a Knack game. I've not met anyone else in the entire world, even on the internet.
Jessica's the only person I know.
Oh, now I know too. Now, but she doesn't even talk about it. No, it's like a sin. It's like a sin. You don't talk about Knack. It's an embarrassment. It's like they had Knack and Xbox One had Rise. Those games just don't exist. They're not talked about. So
and then Switch had Breath of the Wild. Like
oh yeah. And Wii U had that wonderful 101 game that people, and that's the thing. Maybe there's massive Knack fans because that wonderful 100 game. It's like the Kickstarter is massive, and I'm always perplexed. I'm like, who play? I've not heard anybody know this game existed, and there's like hundreds of thousands. I think they're like funneling money and they're putting it in there somewhere. Like there's some sort of scheme. There's nobody playing that much wonderful 100. There's no fucking way.
I just went on the Knack Reddit or the Knack subreddit. There's 459 members and 4 of them are online. So there's 4
very
loyal.
Little. That's very little.
I'm gonna bring them in the call right now. Hey, hello.
They're probably just waiting for their time to shine.
Yeah, I love Knack.
What do you think about
Crash?
When was the last post, Kirkland, on that subreddit?
Let's see. Posted 3 days ago. That's pretty
Okay.
recent. Yeah.
Hey, it's within the week.
So
Yeah.
the second
Fuck.
last post, 5 days
Yeah.
ago, NAC 2 mission. He's asking for some help on one of the missions.
Fuck Crash. I want NAC 3.
So those 4 people are probably pretty active on here. They're posting every couple days.
Oh man.
It's
Dylan,
such a random game to just like be loyal to. Like it doesn't have much replayability, I would imagine.
No.
Like I don't think there's online or anything. So anyways,
Dylan, what do you think about Crash for PS5?
I think this is pretty exciting. Yeah, as someone who didn't own a PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, I just kind of had like select games that I played at my friends' houses and stuff, and Crash was definitely one of them that I have strong memories of. And then yeah, I love CTR. I think that's a great remake, but also just like a really fun and updated version of like a category of games we already have, being like the kart racers, right? And I think that's where it's interesting, because like these mascot platformers aren't really much of a thing. Like we had Ukulele that came out like a few years ago, and
they died off big time.
Yeah, like it just didn't really take off. Like I think people like the sequel more than the original, as far as I know. And the sequel wasn't even the same thing. It was a 2D platformer. So, and then yeah, I guess you had like Mario Odyssey. You could consider that, but
yeah, it's
really
still
not,
Mario, right?
Yeah, it's not really a genre that's too explored right now. So I would be curious to see how they take kind of an old formula and give it that fresh 2020 coat of paint, or 2021 whenever it comes out. But yeah, as you guys said, I think it's just a perfect game to have on PlayStation at launch, and they don't care if it's a timed exclusive. Look at Final Fantasy VII. Everyone in the world is talking about that game right now. It's probably going to get great reviews, talked about as game of the year, and like, you know, that's just on PlayStation right now. Not forever, but you know, when it's most important, when the conversation is at its highest, is right now. So
is it actually just on PlayStation? Did I miss that?
Yeah, the remake is exclusive to PlayStation 4. I don't know how long. I don't know the time frame.
Really? I didn't know that. I must have lost it in the tumbleweeds through these 4.5 years, because all these it's an episode that's, but I didn't know. Yeah, that's cool. Oh man, every time that game is mentioned, I'm closer to buying it. But I'm playing the Batman right now, so I'm like, no, I'm gonna focus on that. But after Batman and I got Outer Worlds, I might have to.
Yeah, definitely get to Outer Worlds. But yeah, no, I think it's I think that's something PlayStation's totally fine with. That's where the majority of the sales are going to come from. That's where the dialogue is going to come from. So
yeah,
I think that totally fits. And yeah, because it is like a very Sony character, right? Everyone thinks of Crash as a Sony mascot,
no,
even
for sure.
though he's like not technically there anymore. So I think it's a great thing. And I think that was one of our predictions actually that we did on our like next gen prediction cast. I don't think we predicted a year or a time frame or what it would look like, but I think we just predicted Crash is coming.
Yeah, which is good, because we need some of those things checked off, because we've tumbled on a few of them, you know, like the release dates now because of COVID, GTA coming out being like, hey, we've been working on the game, but we're also taking us, because I thought for sure GTA would be coming on these consoles, but now because like all that fucking hot water for Red Dead, they're like, we're working on it, but we're working on a really regular pace. So if those reports didn't come out Red Dead, I feel like my prediction would have been right. We would have got a game, but now they're like, no, we're the chill new Rockstar. It's like, which is great for those people, but not for my predictions. I needed that to happen, but I guess it's not happening. So at least Crash can get us something. Yeah, I'm with these guys. I think it's a great idea. I love Crash. I haven't got Crash Team Racing because I think when it came out, there was something else coming out. I'm always like, I'm going to get it, but that's a game that I will get, or even I'd like to see if I want to find out about the backwards compatibility with PS4 and PS5, how that exactly works, because I think I'll wait for that, but I definitely want it because that's one of my favorite kart racers. Like I said earlier, I thought they did a phenomenal job on the remasters. And yeah, I'm like Dylan. I'm very curious to see what they would do, but I think there's always a chance an old genre can have that kind of hit or that nostalgia play. But I also think it's smart to launch, whether it is with the first 2 months or even just actually launch with PS5, because I think that's when maybe some people would pass on a Crash game. But if it's one of the only 3 PlayStation exclusives at the time, they go, you know what? I loved Crash as a child, or, oh, hey, I've heard about Crash. I'm going to get it. And then hopefully Nintendo bucks up and puts them in Smash Bros. Because I got my boy Banjo. And I'm hoping that Kazooie gets a new game and then Crash goes to Smash. And then I'll be perfect.
That'd be so hype.
That's what I want. But I love Banjo Kazooie so much. I still got to buy Smash just to play as him. But so I think that launching with the PS5 is the right move. Because myself, I bought Call of Duty Ghosts, I bought Injustice again, I bought games that I did not need to play, and I wasted money. I'm planning on buying PS5 at launch, but I'm not going to do that again where I bought games that I went just for the sake of buying them. Where Crash, I think, could be, if it's made well, like those remasters, would be a quality game that people would put money down towards. And like I said, I think it's a family friendly game. It's a game for everybody. You don't got to worry about. So I hope these rumors are true, and if they are, I think it's a really good play for them.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I agree.
Yeah, the other rumor going around, this is a big one. Kirkland, you can I'll be interested to ask your opinion because I don't think you've played the first Horizon Zero Dawn, but so right now there's a rumor going around that there's kind of multiples. There's saying that the sequel's going to be gigantic, which okay, sure, I kind of imagine it would get bigger, but that's kind of what some reports are. There's been reports that they are working on a trilogy, which to me makes sense because it was very successful franchise and people highly praise it, and it's just kind of to me a new IP. But then there was also this thing that they were working on a game or a possibly feature. At first it was made they were working on multiplayer, and at first they were thinking at one point it was pitched as a new game that followed like your progression of Horizon Zero Dawn 2, which I think was really weird, which is why the rumor is they canceled it. But yeah, Dylan, what do you think about all this stuff? And also the other thing, same thing as Crash, that there's been rumors again that this is further along than people think, and there's a possibility of it being a PS5 game, or PS5 launch game, which is interesting because I did ask you last week, we were talking about Spider-Man, what if Horizon launched, what predicament that would put you in. So what do you think about this kind of article and info dump, if it is true, about some of these Horizon Dawn rumors? Which, check out our review we did years ago, me and Dylan, we and him both really enjoyed it, and it's on the feed or YouTube. Oh, if it's not on the feed, you can search on YouTube because those videos never get backpedaled during the feed, so it's somewhere in the ethernets of the internet.
I'm intrigued. Yeah, like obviously there's just some stuff in there, like a bigger world. Like I don't know, does Horizon need a bigger world? Like I'll just take any world. I don't really care. Yeah, the co-op is the interesting thing, and I guess what's interesting about it is it makes me wonder where the story is going. Because if you're not playing co-op, like who? Well, I guess even if co-op is a thing, who is your second character? That's the big question for me.
Has to be a new character, right?
Yeah, like I have to imagine you're still playing as Aloy, but then you're going to have a second person in there. And so I guess it makes me wonder, is it going to be like a GTA 5 sort of thing where you can like switch between these two characters single player? Because that I think that makes sense, especially if it is a really massive world. I think it could work well where you see these two characters' stories, maybe like, I don't know, budding on their own, and then they meet up at some point. But then I guess if you're doing co-op from the start, that maybe doesn't work. I don't know. But I don't know. I think the co-op just has like interesting story implications for me, because I would not have called this. Like we've done predictions cast for games before, and I don't think, like we did one for Spider-Man recently, and this is not one I would have made had we done that for Horizon Dawn, which we should do at some point. Now that I'm thinking about it, but yeah, like I don't know. I don't think that really fits in. Like I think it is very much a slow exploration game. Like I feel like if you split screen that, you're taken away from a lot of the big vistas and beautiful views you get. And I think it could work really well for the combat, just taking down those beasts. If some of them say, I don't know, there's like new strategies you can use with co-op features. Like I think that could be really interesting. But yeah, I don't know. It's just weird, man. I would not have called this at all. And I mean, I don't know how reputable this possible source is. I don't know whether to believe it or not, but I don't know, something, it just seems like a strange direction for me.
Yeah. For me, so like I said, the trilogy thing, that makes sense to me. It being bigger, that makes sense to me. I'm kind of like you, where I'm fine with that world again, just a new story or new seasons, whatever it is. I love that game. I actually have to, I think when it gets closer, I do want to do like a full-on replay of it, because I just have nothing but great memories of it. I'd love to do that again. And I think you brought up good points about the multiplayer of doing some really cool, unique takedowns. People, if you're a longtime listener, you know me, I'm all about the single player, and that's just the only thing that when I hear that, I just don't want the single player game to get hurt as far as like, oh, we're putting in multiplayer, because I agree with you, this is not something I would have thought at all. If you would have sat me down and said which one's going to get this out of the first IPs, I could have pitched you Last of Us, which it has, but I mean, like, let's say a story main game based multiplayer. I could have pitched you Last of Us. I could even pitch you God of War. Horizon Zero Dawn is not one I would be thinking, and it's just also not one that I know if I want. I have to wait and see, because it felt similar to, it's funny, when we go do the Batman games, they kind of brought that up eventually, and one of those where it didn't hurt the game, but I don't think it enhanced it either. And this sounds like it might be a bit more in depth than that, but I don't know. I need to see it. I need to see the trailer. I need to see developers talk about, because on the surface, I go, that could be cool, but if I had a gun in my head, I'd go, no, I'd rather just stay the single player. Because my thing is, we've kind of talked about this a lot with video games, where the sequel a lot of times is the superior one because they can build off the first game, they can take the critiques, they can change those. So I would have rather than just take that with the first game and make the enhanced second game, opposed to the enhanced second game. But that could be deterred a little bit by adding this huge multiplayer. I don't know if it's huge, but just a mode. So if it was done well, I would love if there was something like an online thing where you and me, Dylan, could play together and we could take down stuff together. I think that would be tons of fun, but I don't know exactly what this means because the same thing that you said, the report, who knows, but it's still, even then that, what did you think about that rumor of, if it was true, of them potentially making it its own game at first, but then that kind of, they walked that back, which to me was very odd if that is true.
Yeah, that seems kind of suspicious to me.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't sound like that's something Sony would want from that studio to work on. Like, I feel like if Sony really wanted Guerrilla to work on some multiplayer thing, that they would say, hey, do this Killzone multiplayer game. Like, I feel like you just let Horizon be what it is. But yeah, I don't know. That's why I find all this, like, I'm taking all this with a grain of salt, because it just seems a little off to me. It doesn't seem like what I got from the first game was setting up for this.
I agree. Kirkland, do you have any interest in jumping in the first one or jumping in the second one if you hear some of these things about multiplayer and whatnot? Or is this kind of a franchise that you think maybe you'd get to one day, but it's not on the immediate future?
Yeah, it's interesting because like when this was announced, I was so intrigued. I've just always loved like very like unique, original, like single player story type games, which this is exactly that, right? It introduced something that's so new that was never really a thing before. I haven't played it. I don't have too much experience with it. I know it's awesome. You guys have raved it a few times here and there, but I definitely will want to jump in this at one point. Not in a rush right now. There's just too many things to be played. Is definitely interesting though, just some of the rumors you guys were laying out, like the possible co-op. Again, I haven't played the game, so I don't even know if this would work that well, but I know it's happened a few times in past games where they'll have like a second player that's totally an AI, but it's just like your like companion. You're not with them all the time, but they're a character that they're fairly fleshed out. Not as much as the main character, but they are an actual character. It's not just like a mirror version of your character that your buddy can play on just to make it work, right? So like, and then so they have that character, and then when you want to play online, your other guy just plays as that character. So I could see them doing something like that if they do want to go the co-op route. Again, I haven't played the game, so I could just be speaking nonsense here, but there are options to make it co-op accessible and not so janky where it's just like, okay, you're just playing the exact same character so that you can play with your friend. You know, it actually makes some sense with the story, with the world and stuff. So I don't know, I feel like there's options for them to do that. And I feel like, especially if you make it not so reliant on co-op where you're taking away from the single player experience, because that has happened before in the past. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a cool thing though, because especially like for you guys, I'm sure it'd be fun to go, even if it's not really doing the story, just doing some free roaming or something like together. I'm sure you guys would have some fun with that, right? And I'm sure other people would too.
Well, one thing I've kind of been thinking about when it comes to Horizon is like, for all of these games, all these PlayStation, like the God of War sequel that's going to come out, Spider-Man, I feel like for those ones, it's much easier to look at it and say, okay, for the sequel, I could see that they're going to improve on this feature, that feature, this feature. For Horizon, I don't think it's as straightforward. Like, I feel like the world was already massive. It had different locations. It's the most beautiful game I've ever played. And I feel like the mechanics and the combat was really good. And they already kind of had, they had the water archetype and beasts that you fight against. They had the air ones. They had tons of different ground ones. So I wonder if this is almost a thing of like, okay, how do we iterate upon this and make it like feel fully new and fresh and tons of new features? And maybe they looked at that and said, maybe we need co-op to be that extra oomph that pushes it to be like, this is not just by the numbers sequel. This is something that deserves to be made. And so maybe that has something to do with it, because I think they just nailed it so much with that first game that, like, where do you go from here? And I don't know, maybe this is the direction they wanted to take it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm just trying to think if it will be a launch game. To me, if it is a launch game, that is a huge laying it out on the table to come out, because we've always talked about before that lots of these launches with these consoles for all the brands have kind of always been, mediocre to good. Nothing that really stands out. Nothing that's like, oh, this is one of the best games of this generation, this console. To me, I'm expecting that with Horizon Zero Dawn. I know that's a lot to put on it, but to me, the first game was so good. I'm expecting that of the sequel. So if it leads with that, I think that's a huge kind of step forward because you get this huge, third person action Sony first party IP right at day one. I don't know if I buy it because I'm saying there's some stuff in these reports. I'm gonna go, but we have heard, and the other thing that compact this rumor is because they were hiring right now. It wasn't for game development; it was for something else. I think it was for like AI. I can't remember the exact terminology, but it's something that's definitely it's already in development. So I think that would be huge. And I don't know what development you can do right now with the state of things that they're still, because I know some companies can slowly work on a game or some companies can't. So, but if it was a day one launch, I think that would be massive for them. And maybe they know that. Maybe that's why it will be, because we have, even in not just this report, we have heard other reports that's a bit further along than you would expect. So it could be a really cool launch.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Looking good.
Anything else today, gentlemen, before we sign off?
I don't think so.
Nope, not for me.
Nope. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, as I said before, you can just find us in Taylor's not here to give his whole search bar business, but you know where you can find us. Let's throw this here. So there we go. So ladies and
Oh
gentlemen,
no, that's terrifying.
So ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, go in the description below, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That'd be great. We're almost at 30 or almost at 200. That's the goal. We've had like a stalwart right now, so get those reviews coming if you haven't. Oh man, it's so scary. Like, look at my eyes just coming in there, So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you as always for tuning this review. We got some other stuff popping up this week. We'll have a Patreon perspective. We got the last 2 episodes of Clone Wars. Check out our reviews. Those have been really good, and then maybe some other fun announcements on the way. So, thank you very much for tuning in, and hear from us next time. It'll not be boring.
Later.
Ciao for now.